Good morning, everyone. Once again, you're welcome to our program. And today is a wonderful time, and I trust that you are also having a good day, just some few hours to our weekend. And my name is Princess Irina Indom, and I'm the coordinator at American Ghana at Boba at Mobile Web Ghana. American Spaces provides access to current and reliable information about the United States through book collections, internet access, events, and activities for everyone. Today, we'll be looking at an exciting topic that is technology and the future of work. And once again, we are happy to have Lily Edinam Botsyoe from the Internet Governance Forum who will be leading us in this discussion. So you are all welcome to today's discussion. And during this session, make sure that you type in all your comments in the comment section below and they will be addressed. Thank you for staying on with us. And now I'll hand over to Lily to facilitate the session. Hello, Lily.
Hi, Edwina. Hi, everyone. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. Kindly let me know once you see it.
Sure.
Right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where in the world you're joining today. And I'm excited to always join to speak to you. And today we're going to have also a very interesting discussion. It's something you've heard about. It's something you've explored. It's something you're probably reading. It's something you want to know more about. And we all are also excited to be also learning in the space because these are trends that are really, really important and people are talking about it. And especially because it has work involved and it has a very important dimension to it when it comes to humans and machines and making an understanding of the online world and the digital spaces. I'm going to go on to start the presentation now. So today for our discussion, as usual, I have the POP of this presentation, and the POP tells us why exactly we are on this call and what we seek to gain at the end of this call. So the first one, we are going to look at our outline, is that you're going to put side by side what the times have been and where the times are going. So put it as how it started, that's how it is going. And then we also look at what exactly is the future of work. People talk a lot about it. You hear people predicting so many things. You hear people mentioning things around what the future looks like, especially when it comes to work and technology. And then I give you some news. First, the bad one, and then the good one. So you find out what it is that is happening in the space and how we can also leverage the tools we have and the times we're in for some good. Then I give you some good wishes or a goodwill. I wish everybody that the future skills be with you. And so you find out in the subsequent slides what these skills are and why I wish them for you. So we'll also look at an important research that have been going on by companies from the World Economic Forum to Deloitte, who have explored extensively on the topic of the future of work and technology. Yes, so I'm going to go in now and start sharing. As usual, I talk about myself and the things I do, but we are not any different. And just like you, and I'm the coordinator for the Ghana Youth Internet Governance Forum. And for my day job, I do front-end development, and I'm also an aspiring tech policy analyst. So for the POP of this presentation, we have the first P being our purpose, the second O is our outcome, the P is our process. So what to do with this presentation? The purpose of the presentation is to explore the world trends in technology and the future of work. We are players in the space. Everybody would live here having a future of work, and I have questions for everyone that you can answer in the chat. So please engage. You can hear me and see me clearly. We are moving on to our next slide, which is how it started versus how it's going. So you may be wondering, times have passed, right? And people of old had to grow with the times. What is it that they had to do? And what is it that we are currently seeing in our dispensation? So you might have heard of the Stone Age. Things were happening, people were using stone, and also people were using, they moved from using stones to now using bronze. So you're wondering, if they didn't adapt to the changes, how would they have been able to play in that dispensation where there was work? And now there are some big terms that people use to describe this, and I'm going to share them with you. One is the Paleolithic, and the other is the Neolithic. So when you hear Paleolithic, people are trying to explain how the Stone Age was like, and how tools were being carved to be able to assist people to work, and how it moved to the Neolithic part where people are now using farming, they're now using bronze and whatnot. That is how it moved. Now, when it comes to our dispensation, we've had the advent of the first industrial revolution. And when you hear the first industrial revolution, think about work and steam, right? Using to create mechanic production. Work and steam is what they used. Then it came to the second industrial revolution, where there was the use of they used humans and then electric power to be able to create mass or do mass production. Then they moved to the other part of using electronics. That is in the third industrial revolution, where electronics are used to be able to automate things. And then we are in this dispensation, what we call the fourth industrial revolution. The interesting thing about the fourth industrial revolution is that there's a blurring line. It blurs out the physical spaces, the digital spaces, and the biological spaces. So people will wonder, okay, why are we behaving as though the online space is also a new world? It's a natural extension now of who we are in our offline world. And people are able to see how the digital spaces are growing, because you hear things like digital rights, and these are rights you enjoy offline, but people are talking about them online. People are demanding rights to freedom and whatnot. It's just an extension of who we are in our natural world. So you see how times have been. It started from stones to bronze. Now we have machines, we have automated processes, we have driven processes that people are using for industry work and whatnot. Now we'll move to our next slide. I've used this code before, but because we are talking about technology, I want to remind you of how important it is to evolve with the times. And this is what it says. It says that once a new technology rolls over you, if you're not part of the steamroller, then you are part of the road. It means that you're either adapting to the new dispensation you are in, or you are being left behind. So what are you doing, and how are you upskilling to be able to play in this dispensation we are in? Now, let's look at this technology slide that we've discussed before, but also very important to our discussion today, because we are putting side by side what technology is and what the future of work is looking like, because we are riding on technological tools and advancement in technologies almost every time. So are you tech ready or left behind? You can type in the chat and let me know. So what exactly is technology? And most of us, if not all, have explored this subject. And very interesting for us to note is that all of us are on this call and interacting because of technology, because you have joined on Facebook, you have joined on any other device or any platform you're watching from, because you have been able to connect and you are listening to us widely across borders. So technology brings together tools to promote development, the use and information development, use and information exchange, and it has the main objective of making tax easier. You can think about tax, when they say tax, something is easier, you can look at it as being efficient and also being effective. That is how technology is making us work faster and more productive, and to a large extent, even augment our knowledge and the work we do, so people can do research that is very deep-seated in a lot of things, and they can make projections because of the data they have. So some of the technologies you use, you can name them, a lot of them, from the phones, the laptops, the development you are building, even on these tools, and even the discussion we have around things like internet governance and internet rights and all those. Technology and the technological world is more like a system, and we as humans are the center. That is why anything that is done that takes away the human the human bit of technology makes it look as though there's friction, and then people have to rethink policy. They have to rethink how things can be done so that it makes technology a natural extension of who we are as humans and as users. So let's go on to our next slide. We mentioned that there are dispensations that have passed, but right now we are in the fourth industrial revolution. And I've told you that there's so much that you can do now in this revolution because of computing power, artificial intelligence, IoTs, and many more emerging technologies. They have come to make things a lot easier. And because they're emerging, we have to continuously learn and explore them and see what the good is, and maybe if there are subtle nuances that is between the good and the bad, how we can detect them easily. So this is why we do some of these conversations and explore some of these things to be able to know if we are using technology for what exactly it is. Now, I have a comic here that I find very interesting, and I think it will be interesting for you too. So we have Mr. A and Mr. B. Mr. A says, I got a job in human resources for a robot company. And Mr. B says, hiring and firing, that sort of thing. And Mr. A says, no, they view human resources differently. Then Mr. A goes on to say that we need to mine, Mr. B says, we need to mine all the data on Facebook so that we can take over the world. And then Mr. A says, in a good way. Now, let me tell you what I make of this. It tells us how times have changed, even with the hiring process, the recruitment process. Times are not the same. It's not just the hiring and firing anymore. It is the gathering of data of the applicant, even matching their skills to what they're supposed to do, and based on some data, projecting if they'll be of help to the company they're going to be working with and what their projected impacts will be. And interestingly, they didn't gather the data from anywhere. Then our very own Facebook, where we are having a meeting and where people post a lot of things, are building communities and whatnot. So you may want to start thinking, where are my employers looking to gather data on me, right? And would you want them to, the data that they're getting, would it help you, or in the long run, would it come back to haunt you? That is why you are advised most times that if you don't want anything on the internet, don't put it there, because the internet never forgets. And now times have changed and many things are riding on data and information. And even if data is collected, they're able to try and make a meaning into it by digging it and mining to make some insights. Right, so this is how times have changed, and it's not only changing for tech roles, but the very important part of our dealing, like human resources. So that's very important for everyone to note, that your field of work is also changing. Now we go to our next slide, which is our focus for the day. What exactly is the future of work? Now, let me give you the very interesting part. You have heard people give you the scares that, robots are going to take over the other jobs, people are not going to be working anymore, and many other things. People have spoken about so many things in the future that we even have a role that is called the futurists or futuristic people, like people who work in those domains to be able to study trends and to predict what will be in future and whatnot. So when we're thinking about the future of work, which way do we think it will go? Now I'm going to go in to tell you what the future of work is. The future of work describes changes in how work will get done over the next decade and many, many years to come. And it is influenced by technological, generational, and social shifts. The world of work is changing. And some of the things we know that are changing with the world of work is the advent of technology, the emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, automation, robotics. And all this will make this shift as significant as mechanization in the prior generations. Like I told you, there were people who were using stones as tools. They're using stones to cut things. They're using stones to set fire, and then they had to move to bronze and different things. Imagine they said that, okay, somebody, maybe a family decided that they're still going to be living in a cave and they don't want to use bronze anymore. So they want to keep using stones. They would have stayed wherever they are. I mean, they would have not grown. They will not have expanded, and they'll just have been little in their own skills and not be able to yield results like other families that were using now the bronze and they're exploring work and steam and exploring electricity and whatnot. So in this dispensation, it's just like how times have changed from the Stone Age, where people are not using stones anymore, but went on to use bronze, right? And how they had to adapt to be able to cope in the system. So also in this dispensation, while some jobs are going to be lost, right, there are many others created, and almost everything or most things will be affected and things will be changing, right? And I'm going to tell you in subsequent slides how the times are going to be changing and how you have to adapt, right, to be able to stay relevant in your job, in the field you are, and many areas where you want to play. Now, there are some related terms when you hear the future of work, and it will not be new to you because we have had a rude awakening. Everything looked like futuristic. Everything looks like it was in the future till COVID happened. Then we realized that, look, we all are part of this digital world. We all are part of things that are happening that would impact the future of work. So we needed to, as much as possible, still learn skills that were relevant because COVID had happened and people couldn't go around and many things are changing. So let's look at some of these related terms. The first one is globalization. And everybody says the world is now a global village. And it's interesting. I'm seated here, but maybe this work, this presentation I'm doing, somebody's connecting from the US. So I've essentially traveled all the way from Ghana, seated in Accra, to the US somewhere. Somebody's connecting from different parts of the world, and many things are linked, and they can see, they can send text, many things are happening. Now, what is globalization? Is the speed up of movement and exchanges of human beings, of goods and services, capital, technologies, or cultural practices. Now you can share your culture with people. People are sharing how to even cook Ghana jollof, the famous Ghana jollof, and that jollof was ongoing and whatnot. And all over the planet, people are connecting and learning and seeing how things are from different parts of the world, just in their small room with the power of a device, and they're able to connect and make such great impact. Now, one of the effects of globalization is that it promotes and increases interactions between different regions and populations around the globe. Some of you are here in Ghana and collaborating with teams in different places. You're working on products, you're working on, say, GitHub, you're working on, say, Slack, you're working on WhatsApp, on Telegram, different tools. And that's because technology makes it possible. And if you're talking about the future of work, that is how it looks like, that people located in different places are not bound by space or geographic location or a certain confine, but they're able to work wide, right? Because it's made it's powered by the digitalization, and we are now even working in that world we dreamed of. That it will not probably be possible for people to go and for people to connect from all over. No, but now it's not getting it's now getting to know. People are getting to know things that are maybe people have thought in the past that it's only Ghanaians that will know. No, people now know many things, many things. Now let's look at this is also very important one, which is the gig economy. What is the gig economy? Most of you are already playing in this economy, and it's a term that's related to the future of work. So it makes us know that the future of work is not in the far future, it's right around us. We are playing in it, we are gearing up for it, and people are already working in these spaces in things that are thought of to be futuristic, but it's happening currently. So the gig economy is similar to freelancing. Freelancing is when you are self-employed and you do your own stuff. So the freelancer, similar to freelancers, gig workers are usually self-employed and they carry out short-term tasks, right? Known as gigs for different companies. The gig economy is a term used to describe this labor market, and it's what the future of work is going to do, is going to look like. You see how you celebrate maybe your uncle, your mom, your dad 40-year anniversary working in a place? That's going to change. People don't want to spend 40 years doing one thing. They want to explore. They want to move on to the next thing. They want to consult for companies. No young person or the new crop of workers are willing to do something continuously for 40 years and be celebrated for it. They want to explore and have their skills maximized in different areas. And that is why the reskill and the upskill, that is the gig economy that people are now using. And here also related to the future of work, you hear things like co-working spaces. Now people don't have one physical space where is the office of this person. No, they work in spaces. When they travel, they have a small office that they can work in for, say, a month, and they move to another place. People are digital nomads. They are travelers. So they work as they travel. They're not situated in one place. They have virtual offices that you can connect to them. They have virtual office hours and whatnot. So that is how technology and digitalization is breaking the confines of location, of I mean, even resources, because you can even have shared resources in the place and you can travel to go and use it. Else you can tap into it on the internet and whatnot. These are some of the terms that are being associated with the future of work and that we see currently happening. Now, let's go to the current trend. And this one, I picked it from the World Economic Forum. And this is the trend that we are seeing now when it comes to the future of work. There is an ongoing shift in the division of labor between humans, machines, and algorithms. So not only no, human beings are not the only workers, right? We have machines doing some of the work and have algorithms that have been taught by being fed some data and learning over a certain time to have a certain kind of artificial intelligence to be able to make certain decisions at certain times that they are told to because they've been programmed to, they've been taught to. So now not only humans are in the labor force and working or in the workforce, but we have machines and also algorithms. Now, I was watching a friend's status and she posted something very interesting. She currently lives in Paris, France, and she told me that, Lily, once I entered this restaurant, I had to just scan a QR code and place an order. When I placed the order, a robot came. It had two stairs, just a machine. It had one at the top, one below. So to put my food at the top, and then I had my bill below. I'll just pull it out and I pay. The only thing that the waiter had to bring was drinks. And you think about it, maybe it's only about time that they're able to know how to maintain balance on this robot so that they can bring drinks. So probably they're thinking if they put drinks on it, it will spill or something. So they make the waiters or humans bring it. But maybe it's only about some time, a matter of time, before all these things changes, because people would have learned how to build a robot that can do that. And I also had a personal encounter. There was a robot also in the same Paris, but it was in the airport that was cleaning the airport. And once it got close to me, it asked whether I could excuse him. I don't know whether it's called him or her, right? But it asked whether I could excuse. And I moved and it continued cleaning. These are some of the things that are happening. And it is so far-fetched for some region, for some countries, because the emerging technology and the adaptation levels are different. That is where France has reached. Japan may be far ahead. Tokyo, Asia. I mean, those places may be far ahead, but these are how the times are going and how the trends are changing. Let's learn some also interesting things and looking at statistics and how trends are changing and how we can also pick some skills that will be relevant for our playing in this field. Now, also from the same source, which is the World Economic Forum, it says that there are about 85 million jobs or people that may be displaced worldwide in the next 5 years, that is 2025, 2026. And then there are about 97 million new roles that will be more adapted to this to the new tax distribution that may emerge. And now when I talk about tax distribution, remember the slide we just passed, which is the distribution of work between humans, between machines, and between algorithms. That is how the times have changed, that people are not just the only ones doing the work. There's machines augmenting the effort and the algorithms that can also are self-taught and can do some of the work. You understand? So this is the projection. But think about it. The bad news is that some work or people are going to be displaced, but some other jobs are also going to be created. Now, let me give you an example. So say we have tellers, right? Tellers and banks. But right now, there's a replacement maybe of tellers with, say, ATMs, where people can withdraw money and also can deposit money. So you're thinking, okay, do we need tellers anymore? Maybe not. But what can a teller do to pivot, right, in a dispensation like this? There are many things that will happen with the building of an ATM machine. First, somebody would have to think about the algorithm that would say, how much do you want to deposit? Or what do you want to withdraw? And somebody has to code that. That's number one. Somebody would have to build the case that the ATM sets in. Somebody would have to bring the money to put inside, or ensure that the money is there, and then people are able to withdraw money or what they want to do, and it's there. Somebody would have to do maintenance, and somebody would have to write the logic for the ATM machine. So even though one teller has been replaced, look at the many other jobs that are happening. One person has to do this, another person has to do this, another person has to do this. I mean, many things are happening. So for the teller, you're thinking, what can I do? Because you have been interfacing with people, you may want to do research in the space to be able to teach people the logic behind how ATMs can run. because you have interface in the space, you know how it works. Like you say that something has to trigger something before an action is done. So maybe from this point, instead of jumping to releasing the card, ask another question because they may want to do another transaction. That is how people are upscaling when the times are changing and there's the likelihood of people to be displaced. They look for how they can learn in the field and how they can upskill to be able to stay relevant. And that is the one pointer I'll leave with everyone. If you don't remember anything from this meeting, remember that in the future of work, the one thing that'll be very constant is change. And the one other thing that would also be very relevant is knowledge and how you're able to build it quickly. Things would be a lot easier. I mean, people used to sit behind used to sit, write codes on paper and travel miles to find one mainframe to code. But now there are frameworks, there are laptops that people can code on and different things. You know, people are coding and it's so easy. Now there are frameworks that you can even speak to and say, I want to build this, and they start coding for you. In the future, things will be made a lot easier because of the advancement in technological in the technological space. But what people would have to learn and be able to leverage for their operation is the knowledge. Do you know it? Are you able to gather knowledge? Why are you able to find the information? That is what will keep you very relevant and keep your skills relevant and help you in the execution of your work. Now let's go on into some more details when it comes to the future of work and what the projections are. It is also projected that 1 in 2 workers will need reskilling, and those remaining in their current roles will need to update 40% of their skill set to be able to adapt to the changing labor market. And now I've been mentioning reskilling and upskilling. So somebody may be asking, what exactly is reskilling and what exactly is upskilling? 2 things. Reskilling is when learn you learn additional you learn new things to be able to do different work. So you're reskilling, like you're relearning. So you have a certain skill, but maybe you are an HR person. Now you're not learning data analytics to be able to do another thing, to be able to understand or gain insight from another thing. You're learning skills for a different task. So you're reskilling. Upskilling is when you add on to your knowledge. You are adding on to it so that you are able to be relevant, able to be efficient and whatnot. So that is the difference. You're reskilling to do newer things, or you're upskilling to add on to it. And it's something that is very helpful in the dispensation we are in now. And then there is this shocking revelation that says that even though we are talking about the future of work and people are gearing up and people are discussing it, there is an acute shortage in skills needed for the future roles, and organizations are investing in reskilling and upskilling for their workforce. But you think about it, whose role is it? Is it only organizations? What about government? What about people themselves? What can we do, right, for this future? And we go on to find out what is happening and what the future looks like for all of us. So I've said that there's many conversation about the future of work, and it's mostly based on trends and data that have been studied. And though the future is very much uncertain, there are trends that we know based on study and based on how the dispensation is going that will be very relevant in the future. And it's also part of the evolution of work and where work has moved from and where it is going. So one of the things that will change is skills. I mean, key skills will change, or not be the normal or the usual manual work you do or teamwork and all that. No, it will require more. And what are these more? Even though that tools, sorry, that skills that are changing, there are some that are actually used currently that people don't see or regard as a big thing to a big skill to hone. But some of them are your ability to manage information, right? Your ability to manage information, share knowledge, work with others in a digital context. And they even write here that some organizations would assess your digital readiness to ensure you're future ready before they'll have you on. How are you able to use productivity tools? How are you able to find information to make the task you've been given easier? Do you wait till your supervisor travels and comes back after a week to be able to direct you? Or where do you find information?
Hello, everyone. And so we'll be waiting for Lily. She'll be joining us very soon. And so as we wait for her, do send in your questions, your comments about this interesting topic, technology and the future of work. And what do you have to say about this? Does it frighten us as to how the world is moving, or can we get better when it comes to technology? And so as we wait for Lily, I'll just want to introduce you to an interesting resource that's you would be interested in, and that is the eLibrary USA. And so it's the state-of-the-art digital library with a 9 premier electronic database that includes digital newspapers, magazines, journals, videos, and dissertations. And so usually this resource is only available to use in person at our American spaces, but with the global pandemic, we are opening up access to this amazing resource. And so if you are interested, you can sign up using the link that will be shared in the comment section, and you can have fun, learn a lot from this resource. And so that is the eLibrary USA. So we're still waiting for your questions and your comments. And so I'll take some comments coming in from our viewers right here on Facebook. And so this is from Peace Be Still. He says, awesome, keep it up, Richard Kwachi, always. Okay, thank you, Richard, for joining us. Evelyn says, and so Charles says, hi, glad to be part. Then Patrick says, greetings from New Jersey. Nana Kojo says, awesome, glad to be part. Hama says from Accra, Achiatone. Okay, so thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for joining us. And so we'll be taking your questions when Lily is done with her program. Okay, and thanks all for joining us. Enesina from Medina, Sufu from Takrade, and Yao Adri from the USA. And so Lily will be joining. Yes, so Lily is back now.
Right here. So apologies. This is what happens when your network is patchy and shows you on and off. So I'm sorry for that, but you're able to pick up quickly and just go straight into where we were, so that we don't miss so much the flow of the presentation. So I was sharing also, if you can hear me, okay, I think it's the importance of the growth in knowledge sharing and how important this would be for the future. So we're looking at things like being able to share with your friends, manage information, and grow in the space you are working in. And then there's also the growing need for the use of artificial intelligence. And this is why it is the ability to augment the skills that we have as humans. So people are able to connect with us.
Lily,
they're able to
hello, Lily, can you kindly share your screen?
Right. Kindly let me know once you see it. Thank you. So I was just sharing that people will be able to connect with our skills and appreciate the things you're doing when we have a little bit of support, or there's augmentation of the skills you have already. So there'll be the growing trend of artificial intelligence replacing some transactional services. Like I used the example of the tellers, right? But there's also the process where more work will be created, because there'll be some research that would be aided, because there is support for human research. So the depth that people couldn't go to research, there is support for you to go in there and understand and carry out research and be able to share with people who are users of the information you're gathering. So though there'll be replacement of the transactional or everyday manual work, there'll be more support for people who are doing things that usually our efforts are not able to give us. Then I already mentioned the gig economy. Most of you are probably excited about this because you like working from home, you like to work from place to place. You don't like to do one thing because it becomes so mundane and boring, and you soon grow tired of it. So in the future of work, one of the things that will be very, very much prevalent is the rise of the gig economy, where this represents the growing population of non-full-time employees and they're temporary workers. What they do is they come, they do the job, they're done, they move on to the next project, and they work as freelancers. These are the kind of the economy will be running in the near future. And everybody knows and talks about data and analytics. I mean, it's so popular that I know many of my friends who are in different fields, but are now exploring roles in data science. And I'm wondering, okay, what is fueling your interest? And they give me the long list of things that are changing and why it's also necessary or important for them now. And we all know how important data is, because most of the things we do now is based on data. The projections you're making in the future is because there's data and the studies that have gone in that's able to give us this projection. And there's also very much importantly, the drilling or the going deep to explore the data so much so that people are able to make insights out of it, and they're able to see what's good and what bad can come out of it. So data analytics will become even more powerful as employers will have the capability to predict employee performance and engagement levels, not just during, but before employment has even begun. So I mentioned with the comic I shared early on that the HR process it has now moved from just recruitment to understanding how important a person's skill will be to the organization, and even having a little bit of projection as to how their impact will be when they're employed. So you not just be called on to come and work. They'll measure based on some data they've gathered about you or your work to see your strengths and what it is you're bringing to an organization. Then there is a rise in peer leadership. People now are looking for leaders who are proactive, who can do the work, who take decisions in the wake of many things that are happening, and are able to feel and able to find ways around things. They don't just sit and say, okay, if this cannot be done this way, then I think there's no way other way can be done. They are looking for people who can lead. And now you hear a lot of tech leadership coming on, and there's advocacy for tech leadership all over. And when it comes to peer leadership, it will become the norm as the roles within the project become interchangeable, and more Gen Z are the millennial workers and people who are interested in the gig economy, and they like to do things that are not too conventional, right? So we have already started to see the reverse mentoring in some organizations. You see other folks would ask, can you help me with my Zoom? I mean, I'm having issues with my Zoom today, but if I was in an office, I'd be like, would you find me, say, a device and let's switch or something of the sort? And I'm even still a young person, but even older folk also is doing something in the digital space and want some help, they'll quickly call on the younger ones, because as young people, we are the very first generation of active users of the internet who will grow up not just using the internet, but we are contributing to building the core. We are those also who are comparatively adapting faster to technology than any other generation as a young people. We are curious, we want to learn, we want to explore, we want to see things happening and whatnot. So there's that peer leadership and the reverse mentoring, where younger generation are supporting senior leaders in taking up new skills. They tell you, this is what you should learn now. I mean, if you don't know this, then I mean, you're behind or something. Most of us taught our parents how to navigate Zoom in the wake of the pandemic because they wanted to do chess services, they wanted to do their meetings and whatnot. That is how the times have reached, right? And many people have heard about what the job space will be like in the future. And normally when you see the list of the jobs that will be sought after in future, they're mostly sort of tech related, and people get worried. Okay, I'm in the sciences, maybe physical sciences. I'm in sociology. I'm in another field. Would there be space for me in the future? There is space for everyone in the future, and this is why technology now is not linked or not confined only to tech and coding and programming, but it's subtly woven into every field of the work we are doing. And so everybody has tech in the role they play. So tell me in the chat, what would the jobs in the future be? What are some of the jobs in the future? What do you think would happen in the future, especially based on the things you have learned in the previous slide? They are the keys, they are the keys skills that we said are going to be very prevalent in the future and whatnot. So tell me what the jobs in the future will be. I didn't want to limit you to say 2021s and mention all the AI specialists and data analysts and whatnot. But I want you to, based on the skills that you've had in the previous slide, tell me what you think the jobs in the future will be. Now, there are interesting things that experts have been talking about, and you hear me use here in this slide, you hear me use two words, dystopia and utopia, and it's trends that are growing because people are thinking about an ideal situation with technology in the future. Some are looking at it in a bad light and how things will go from good, maybe now it's good, to bad, and how maybe things will go from bad, maybe now it is bad, to good. So there are two worlds that people are envisioning when it comes to the future of work. And the first world is dystopia, and the second one is utopia. So what is it? What is it? What is dystopia and utopia? Dystopia is a fictional community or society that is undesirable or frightening. So some experts predict that there'll be in future, or in the future of work, there'll be a dystopia with high unemployment and increased inequality. Maybe they'll say, if you've not had this degree, or not a degree, you've not had this skill, you cannot work in this field, or maybe there'll be unemployment because robots are already doing the work. So that is what some people are predicting. That, let's put that on one side. That's the dystopia. Then another batch of people are also predicting a utopia. And what a utopia? They are saying that it will be a society or a place or a state where everything is considered perfect and ideal. And why are they saying so? They're envisioning a future where technology can help us make good decisions on leadership, on climate change and whatnot. So the dystopia things that there'll be bad governance, there'll be inequality, we have issues with fairness and whatnot. But Utopia says, okay, based on technology, we can be able to have good governance, ensure some right things happening with our climate change, and also look into saying jobs are fair, are inclusive, and are also sustainable. So those are the worlds that people are predicting, and it's up to you. You know how to be armed with knowledge, with skills, so that you adapt to with the changing times and be able to be relevant in the field you are in. So how do you see the future for yourself? Times are changing, things will be displaced. Are you willing to learn? Are you willing to upskill? Are you willing to reskill? Right? These are some of the things you should be thinking about. Now, I'm coming to a very important part of the conversation. While soon we are rounding up, and I'll take questions from you. But this is a work that was done by Deloitte, and they put in a very important aspect to all the conversation. We have had we have had conversations around the future of work, right? And it is really around technology. And we are saying how technology will take over and whatnot. But they are looking at a way to humanize the future of work. That is trying to bring humans back to the center of work. In fact, work began with humans. So how can we make the future of work be focused on humans, the technologies, and every other place that we find ourselves, so that there's equal attention, right? And we are building towards that. So people are not scared about robots taking over and whatnot. So they are answering two questions by this research they made. They are answering the what, the who, and the where. And the research is largely around the automation that we are seeing now, and how there is a changing trend when it comes to on-site or on-sheet and off-sheet stuff. People are gig workers, people are forced staff and whatnot. So they're looking at the future of it more human. So the what's of their research is the work we are talking about. That's the future of work. The who is the workforce. Then the where is the workplace. So when it comes to the work, they're asking what work can be automated? That is in the next 20 years or 10 years, what work can be automated? When it comes to the workforce, which is the who, they're asking who can do the work? Are people skilled to do the work? Are there tech advancement enabling new models for interaction between companies, employees, and customers? And they also ask the workplace, where is it? I mean, where's the work done? And here they're asking that we rethink the combinations of talent, of technology, and workplace, because there'll be more of the adoption of a hybrid nature, both on-site, off-site, online, virtual, and whatnot. This is the work they are doing, and this is how they want to go towards bringing humans back to the center of work. And there's more to this. Then, when they're looking at the human approach to work, they've seen that, like I mentioned early on, um, the focus has been on technological implications of the future of work, and then they believe that the focus should be on designing a future of work that is essentially human. How can we bring humans to the center again? Yes. So in humanizing the future of work, they require leaders to do these three things. The first is sets the enterprise mindset. Two is to recognize the biggest motivator for humans is work itself. Work is what motivates humans to do the work, right? And to reorient from past performance to future potential. They should see how the journey has come and to see the future of work as a journey and not a destination. You don't want to see it as just an end in itself, but it's something you're working towards slowly. Exactly. So that is what leaders are required to do now. And so when you think about the enterprise mindset, they want you to drive the importance of humanizing the future of work as a strategic priority in your work in your organization when it comes to digital transformation. Are you talking about the human part? Well, are the discussions multi-stakeholder so people can bring their views, or how are you doing it? And they're also requesting leaders to engage across functions to create clarity of the purpose for the work and its outcome. That is the multi-stakeholder approach I spoke about. And they also want to most of the people to align on the mission of the organization, what it delivers, and why it exists. And then in recognizing that work, the biggest motivator for humans is work itself, is how you get people inspired and energized about new work outcomes. Most companies are so fond of preaching fear. You'll be fired if you don't do this, you'll be doing this if you don't do this. They don't preach collaboration, they don't preach teamwork, they don't preach reaching out to support so that we can all find solutions to it. So it's very hard for people to want to grow or want to explore their competencies, because the next thing you're on your way out. So these are some of the things they want they're advising organization leaders to be able to do or are required to do. And then when it comes to the last point, it is the envision and pursue new value that you can release through humans working productively with technology. So it's for you to make or create a place where humans and technology can work in tandem. They can work well, can actually collaborate, they understand each other, and so that you have humans motivated to work and work productively because they are supported by technology. And technology can get input from humans and they understand it and they can work with it. And then when we talk about reorienting from potential as the largest a machine can do it, but there are things like empathy, there are things like kindness, especially when it comes to customer service, the machines cannot entirely give, right? People will gauge the room before they make certain decisions. Are machines able to do that? In future, maybe they can, and people will also learn to upskill or reskill to do something else. But until then, are you making humans or in your organization, are you seeing them as a valuable asset so that you can also move on to the next step, which is driving the future of work vision and strategy through the art of the possible. Like it's possible, it's not scary for people. People are scared by it, and then you are not afraid to explore your competencies. And then the last point there is to place humans squarely back at the center by infusing human potential across all three dimensions of work. That is all three dimensions. That is the work, the workforce, and workplace. I mean, humans are the center. You understand their needs, you understand what it is they want, and you're able to provide for them. Now we are almost finishing. Then we are looking at humanizing the future of work, and we see that how the trends are changing from with the work, which is just a process, to a flow. I mean, it goes from one end to another one, and then the workforce, which is the capability of building, changing from just the workforce to capabilities and how people have some expertise in the spaces they are put, right? And it's not just a structure; it's organizational, where people know each other, they know how they connect, they know how they intersect, they know how they can gather support from each other and whatnot. This is some of the things that are happening in this new future of work. And I'm going to end with something interesting also from their work. And it's something we can all ponder about, but then just quickly,
Hello, everyone. Sorry, we lost Lily again, waiting for her to join in. And so I'm seeing your questions and your comments and keep them up, like keep sending them in so that we can address them when she's finally here. And so, yeah, we still have people. So Raymond says, thanks, very insightful. Thank you, Raymond, for your comments. And this is coming in from Felix. Felix says, this is so good. Yes, indeed, this is very educative and I'm learning a lot. And I trust that we are also learning from this session. And we are going to improve on our skills. We're going to expand our knowledge and not be complacent with what we already know. And so Samuel says, good morning. I'm the head of administrator, IKF PKB Ghana. I'm watching from the office now. Thank you, Samuel, for joining us. MK Bufa says, good morning, brothers and sisters. Good morning. Alex says, good afternoon. I think from your end, good afternoon. And Nadia says, good job. Thank you, Nadia. Helen says, absolutely insightful session. And so going back to the previous comments, and when Lily asked about some kind of jobs we think would exist in some years to come. And so I saw a comment from Lily. Lily says virtual assistants or administrators, okay. And from Taxi Wizard, he says cloud administrators. Okay, can we just, do you have ideas of other works that would happen in the future when it comes to technology? What work comes in mind, and how prepared are you to be able to meet the demands of the growing tech industry? Want to see your comments, want to see your remarks about this. Nadia says, very interesting topic. Thank you, Nadia. Robert says, great. I just got a few insights. It'll be great to join and speak another time. And Cherubin says, I'm very grateful for this presentation and I'm enlightened. Thank you, Cherubin, for your feedback. We are all enlightened and we are glad that you are learning. And so Lily is here now.
Right, I think
Lily, are you ready?
Yeah, I think you can take the questions because the last thing I was going to say is just an admonishment sort of from the research, and everybody can find it. Just look out for the future of work, Deloitte research, and you can find it. And they say that we have to, like I mentioned, re-architect work, also unleash the human potential and adapt the workplace environment so that they can build, organizations can build resilience, capitalize on their ability to evolve with dynamic stability, and all this with humans at the center, making humans know that in the new future, there are still available assets, and when they are taught or when potentials are capitalized, people are all able to give their best. So that's about it. And I hope you found something. I'll look in the chat now to see what you thought would be important for the future when it comes to work. So I'll be reading that, but I'm happy to take any questions now.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Lily. And so I would start with some questions that were asked by our participants. And so Amma Mensah says, very exciting topic. I'll be pursuing my master's in human resource management with a concentration in artificial intelligence from one of the top universities in the US this fall. Congrats to that. And she says, I'm very excited about the journey and all the artificial intelligence skills I can introduce to our world of work here in Ghana when I return. All the best with that, Amma. Linda is asking, how can we remain relevant in this digital age when accessing fast internet connectivity in our part of the world, which is still a challenge? Lily, did you get the question? Lily will be joining us soon. She has some technical hitches from her end. And so I'm going back to the comments coming in. Felix says, thanks for the acknowledgement. I'm really enjoying this program. Thank you for staying on, Felix. Linda says, website audit assistant. Okay, so that's great. So keep up with the future work and what kind of roles do you think will exist in some few years to come? Yeah. Hello, Lily. Okay, so Alex says, I have interest in economics, environmental issues, and technology in general. Thank you for sharing that, Alex. Okay, and so we'll be waiting for Lily and keep up with your questions and let's get interactive. How do you think you are striving or you're doing when it comes to your knowledge in technology? Is it better than before or do you still have to learn? You can just text that in the comment section. Let's learn from each other. What skills do you have now? What skills do you have now which you are very confident that it can put you out there when it comes to work? Abdul says, I have benefited immensely from your programs. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Abdul, for your comments. And so as we saw some people share, and they mentioned some future opportunities as virtual assistants or administrators or cloud administrators or virtual auditors. What kind of work do you think is going to be relevant in some years to come? We want to know from you. So that's an interesting comment from Sylvester. He's saying that I'm from KNUST of Botsyoe campus, a very good presentation. We are going to develop very well for the personal organization fit. I think BIT is going to be a major job in the upcoming workplace. People be employed to manage the internet. Okay, thank you so much, Sylvester, for sharing in your comments. Helen says, how can HR or labor experts remain relevant in the workplace in light of the future of work? And so Lily will be joining us very soon to address your questions. Robert is asking, technology should be included in all aspects of university courses in Ghana. Any views on that? And that's a very good question to ask. So keep up with your questions and your comments. And if you just joined in, let me go back and speak about a wonderful resource that would be of benefit to you as a student, as a researcher, or as an individual who is very passionate about self-development, and that is the eLibrary USA. So the eLibrary USA is a state-of-the-art digital library with a 9 premier electronic database that includes digital newspapers, magazines, journals, videos, and dissertations. And so usually this resource is only available to use in person at the American spaces, but with the global pandemic, we are opening up access to this amazing resource. So if you are interested, you just sign up with the link that will be shared in the comment section, and do enjoy all the benefits of this wonderful resource. So keep up with your questions, keep up with your comments. Lily would address them right away. As we wait for Lily, let's look at some questions that we can look at. So with Linda's question, how can we remain relevant in this digital age? And so when it comes to internet connectivity, I think it's not the fault of the individuals, but with the telcos. So we are believing that with how fast technology is growing, we trust that in some few years to come, it's going to get better. And we as individuals must also become relevant and explore our knowledge and skills on how to use these digital tools and resources very well. So Cherubim Kofi is also asked a question, what should I do as a young man to be ready for the job market? And so all you could do is just be ready, be prepared, stay relevant with what it's in relation to your job interest and the job requirements. And so as Lily has touched on in the presentation, we are in a growing technology world and you need to really advance your knowledge and skills. So don't be complacent with what you already know. You need to upgrade. And don't just stay with what you know, and get better, learn more skills in tech, digital skills that will be relevant to your work. And so being ready is when you are open and prepared to learn more and be willing to also allow people help you along the way. So Lily is back and she's the best person to answer all your questions. So now we can kickstart with your questions. And so Lily, this was a question from Linda. And she asked, how can we remain relevant in this digital age when accessing fast internet connectivity in our part of the world, which is still a challenge? Lily,
So
did you
I
get the
have just
question?
with my
Yeah.
network getting patchy and everything. Yes, please, I got it. So I was just saying, I'm currently living in what she's describing. I mean, there's patchy internet. There are things that sometimes you can even buy internet on the high side of things. I mean, people will think about how bad the internet is. Others will think about how expensive it is. And these are some of the things that, I mean, we are all facing. And with time, we are seeing interventions by communities. Like you have people who have hubs where you can go and work and learn. That's because they want to help us in this light. Maybe in your community the network is bad, so they give you a space where you can work from. Then you're able to solve that one. But the fact is that we will not, the space will not wait for us, and it's fast evolving. So as and when you have an opportunity, you'd want to grab it quickly. You'd want to make use of the time you have. So if you know you have bad internet and then you have access to the internet, you know that you have to learn quickly, gather as much as you can. And if you can, maybe download an offline version of the things you're using to be able to learn offline. Then when you get connected, you can get some more information and participate in communities and forums so people can understand, or people can help you when you have or need understanding on some of the things you need explanation to when you were learning offline. So the challenges didn't leave yet. It's not just the challenge of connectivity, it's also of affordability and getting the device, and sometimes even of opportunities. So you have to seize those you can quickly, run with them, make the most out of them, especially working offline if you can. And then when you get online, make judicious use of the time you spend when you are online, not around and laughing and giving funds to friends because they have nice photos, spending the time to learn. And when you are tired, you can use that time, the free time you have for recreational purposes, also communicating with friends. But you know how to use it judiciously. And then technologies are also having offline versions. Even if you were using, say, your Gmail, and then they realize that maybe your internet is patchy, they give you the option to have or load your mails without media. So these are some of the things that they understand in some places. The internet may be slow, so they give you the option to work within the boundary that works for you. So you can do without media, you can do without big photos, and they also allow you to access. Even now, when you're using Google Drive, there's an offline version. So these are some interventions that the companies are doing in our communities, the hubs and spaces like the American Corner and the American Embassy. Some of these resources get access to it. So that's what I'll say.
Thank you, Lily. And so those are interesting comments from Alex, and that's in link to a question I wanted to ask. So he says that I am 51 now, and many people of my age in the UK are quite frightened of technology. Personally, I went to college at age 36 to study electronics engineering. And so there's an interesting question from Alex. What's the future like for people who are not very knowledgeable in technology? Does it mean that they'll be left behind? How can they adapt?
Right. So I think I'm lagging a bit, but if you can hear me clearly, everybody has now a level play field. Even I read computer science for my undergrad, and I'm no different from somebody who is starting off just watching YouTube videos and just viewing computer science. Somebody can start today learning on Udemy and still gather skills that I have, right? That I learned 4 years in school, and they can learn it in months. They can do certifications and also have the skills. Thankfully, you are able to learn to keep with the pace. And even me that I'm in the field, right? If I don't learn to update and upskill my skill and upskill, in the near future, my skills may probably not be the best. They may not be the sharpest. I may not know some of the things that are trendy, because technology is so fast that it's even evolving faster than policy. People are thinking, how can we make policy that regulates technology so that it doesn't outdo us and probably save us in a bad light? So you are not left behind. Be curious. The first one is be curious about the information you want to know. Second one is to seek out the knowledge. third one is not to do it on your own. Don't seek out the knowledge on your own. There's communities that can help you, because some of the things may be so confusing because you're new to the space. All the jargons, all the things that you have to do may be confusing. So be part of a community that would help you when you need help, and then you can be able to make good use of the network you have. So ask the experts in your network, learn, be curious, and it's not too late for whoever. Those in the space also have to reskill. Young people have to reskill and upskill, else they're also left behind.
Thank you, Lily. That was a good one. So Sylvester is asking, can I get the slides? So this is recorded live on the Facebook page of the US Embassy Ghana. So you can just go back and watch if you missed out from the beginning. From Alex again, I was amazed at how dependent our younger generation have become upon technology. Okay, so I saw a question. So Felix is asking, please reshare the link. So I trust it's the link to the eLibrary USA. It will be shared again so that you can enjoy all its benefits. And so another question, let's take the last question, Lily. So a question from Cherubim Kofi, he asked that what should I do as a young man to be ready for the job market?
Two things: learn, be open to change. Don't say that this is how they do it in my village, so I mean this is new, we don't do it that way. And if you don't do it that way, I mean, it's the world wouldn't wait for you. You have to learn, you have to
And so we lost Lily there again. And so I think I can try and remember what she said. She says that you shouldn't be comfortable with only what you know. Don't say that you're going to just do what you have already known, or in quotes, what you have learned from your village. You have to learn, you have to ask the right people. You can also join a network of people who are also passionate about what you want to learn, and that makes you ready for the job market. And so we have a few minutes to wrap up with today's session. We want to thank you so much for joining us, making time off your busy schedules as usual, and to participate in this discussion. And so this was brought to you live by American Kana at Boba in partnership with Mobile Web Ghana. And so this should conclude our program. I doubt Lily will be joining sooner. And so this should conclude our program. And this was also brought to you by the US Embassy Ghana. And so do follow us on our Facebook page to learn more and get updated about our upcoming virtual programs. And please don't forget that we are still in the season of the COVID-19 pandemic. So please ensure all safety protocols, wear your nose mask when you leave the house, wash your hands, and use your sanitizers. Eat well, exercise well, and keep safe. And until next time, we come your way with another interactive session. Do have a wonderful day. Bye.